Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is Atia here at Booking It with Atia. Today is a very special video. I'm very excited for this video. I am going to be giving my review of The Black Kids by Christina Hammonds Reed in partnership with Hear Our Voices Book Tours and Simon & Schuster. Also, huge shout out to NetGalley, who actually provided me the e-arc of this book. This video is going to be split into 5 parts. The first part is going to be the synopsis. The second part is going to be what I liked. The third part is what could have been better. Fourth part is my own voices reflection, and the fifth and final part are my final thoughts. So let's jump right in. So The Black Kids is a historical fiction young adult novel that takes place in 1992 with the backdrop of the Rodney King riots and protest. We have our main character, Ashley. She is a black girl from a wealthy family who attends a predominantly white high school. She has a group of friends. Everything's going okay, it seems, until the riots and the protests start, and Ashley has to kind of figure out what it means for us, what it means for them, and where does she fit in that category. She gets entangled in a rumor concerning one of the other black kids in her school that can threaten his future, and it's her journey dealing with that. It's her journey dealing with her thoughts on the protests and the riots, developing her own political opinion, while also navigating a really tough relationship at home between her parents and her older sister, Joe. What I really loved about this novel in particular is that the writing is so easy to get sucked into. It's very accessible language while also having quite a few moments of profound and poetic language. It tugs at your heartstrings. It makes it so easy to just start and continue reading and not want to put the book down. Ashley is such a complex character. She's messy, she's flawed, she's not perfect, and I appreciate the fact that the author didn't try to make her perfect. I also appreciated that there's quite a bit of a journey for Ashley, and even at the end of the book, it's a well-paced journey, but even at the end of the book, you can tell that her journey isn't done. And I thought that was so realistic and so true to life, especially for a senior in high school. You know, like, your journey, your self-discovery, your character development is far from over at that point. This book also deals with the idea of outgrowing friendships and making new friendships, but specifically on the topic of outgrowing friendships, Ashley has been part of the same friend group with the same friends since she was a little girl, about 6 or 7 years old, and she's stuck with them even as they kind of outgrow each other, have different tastes, have different interests, because they're comfortable. There's a certain comfort for that, and one of the big parts of this novel is Ashley reevaluating her friendship with each of her best friends and really trying to think, you know, are these friendships worth saving? Are these friendships that will last past high school and into when I'm an adult? The novel also deals with the complexities of female relationships, specifically mother-daughter. We see a lot of that in Ashley's mother and her sister Joe. There's a very tense, very complex, intricate, nuanced relationship that's just very hard to witness sometimes. You know, you're from the perspective of Ashley, and she's witnessing her mother and her sister not get along after so many years of not getting along, to the point where she doesn't know if they'll be able to reconcile. There's also the female friendships between Ashley and her friends that I just spoke about, but also she begins to develop new female friendships and figure out what that looks like in contrast to her old friendships, but also in terms of her new friendships. and then as well as the friendships between, or not friendships, the relationship between sister and sister. One of my favorite parts of this novel was definitely the relationship between Ash and Joe. You can tell that they have such a concrete, solid relationship from the beginning of the book. Ashley has tried so hard to appease both her sister and her parents. Her sister has always been at odds, I want to say, with her parents. Her parents don't really understand Joe, and it's a very difficult relationship. So in light of that, Ashley has always tried to pick up the slack. She's always tried to be the perfect sister, trying to, keep her relationship with her sister Joe, but also keep her relationship with her parents, because they're just so worried about her older sister, and that puts a lot of pressure on Ashley, even when she might want to kind of step outside of those boundaries into the realm of where her sister is. And you see in the course of this novel Ashley go from pleading with her sister to just kind of get over it and, appease their parents, to understanding her sister in a way that she didn't previously in the book and previously in their history. You see Ashley understand why her sister is so passionate, why her sister has moments of, kind of stepping back from everything and wanting to be by herself. And there's definitely themes of Black girlhood as well as mental health. I would say it's touched on slightly in this book, especially mental health in the Black community. This book takes place in the early 90s. We're still not really talking about mental health the way we should be, but especially because this book takes place in the 90s. So I think it does a great job of being realistic in its discussion of mental health and kind of skirting around it in a way that feels authentic, while also addressing the fact that mental health disparities and declining mental health in the face of trauma and injustice and generational trauma that's also present in this book is a thing, and it's prevalent and it's important. And that's another layer of the book that really helps you understand the character of Joe. I think out of all the characters in the book, Joe is definitely my favorite. She represents so much in terms of being misunderstood, being passionate, giving everything she has to a cause, because that's all she feels like she can do in that moment. The book definitely feels cyclical, like it's part of a larger picture and it's part of this continuous timeline. The author does such an amazing job really painting LA and the backstory and just what was happening during this time and the emotional tensions and the emotional drama that was happening. And what I really appreciated about this book is the fact that the first quarter of the novel, you don't even get much of the protest, right? So the first quarter of the novel is, the trial is going on. It's pre-protest, I guess you can say. And so the author takes that time to introduce us to Ashley. She takes the time to introduce us to her different relationships and get us acquainted with this world and this life instead of pushing us into the height of the riots and the protests. And so we see the community gearing up towards the riots and the protests because we see Ashley doing that as well. What I also really enjoyed about this novel is the use of flashbacks. I think the flashbacks in this book were done exceptionally well. And what I really enjoyed is that they are woven into the story. And so it's not this is a flashback, so it's going to be in italics. It's not a title, it's not a chapter that's like flashback. It's small flashbacks, and they're sprinkled all throughout the novel, perfectly placed in present moments to give us a little backstory about how Ashley got to a moment she got to. And I really enjoyed it, and it's so seamless. And the flashbacks read like real life. They read like Ashley was having a memory of something because of what was happening right then in that moment. And I think that was, yes, I think that was exceptionally done. where it fell short. So for me, I only had one critique, honestly. Ashley has some sort of romantic relationship with one of the characters in the book, and at the end I felt like that relationship was unresolved. I would have liked some kind of conclusion, not necessarily have it be wrapped up in a bow and everyone, you know, skips off into the sunset, but I was left wondering, what did she learn from this? What happened? What's the outcome? You know, I think everything else was resolved so well. Even if it wasn't a happy ending, even if it wasn't all my questions were answered, it was still, I felt some sort of resolution with it, which I appreciated. But it was that one romantic relationship, and I don't want to give too much away because I want you to read the book, and when you read the book you'll know exactly which romantic relationship I'm talking about. Yes, I said which, but that was the only one where I was like, I'm gonna need more from this. In terms of me reflecting, there were so many moments during this book where I was like,
Ashley, girl, what are you doing?
And so I really related with Ashley having this feeling of just stumbling through life and not knowing what she was doing, where she was going, having goals but not necessarily knowing how to get there was incredibly relatable. I mean, wow. I also related to Ashley feeling like she didn't necessarily fit in with the Black kids, but also being supremely aware of her Blackness with the non-Black kids, and just living in that middle space of not feeling like an us in any way. You know, she didn't feel like she was part of an us with her group of white friends. She didn't feel like she was in us with the Black kids at the school. And so she's kind of just there. And that also ties back into her friendships and that look of the idea of outgrowing friendships, expanding friendships, creating new friendships as well. And of course, I mean, this is going to like relate to so many people who are part of our marginalized community. Ashley was just trying to survive as a Black person in a predominantly white environment, and it's a messy process. She makes mistakes, and she does try and own up to those mistakes. It's not always easy, it's not always pretty, but she's trying, and I think that's saying something, honestly. I really appreciate the fact that she doesn't start out as a perfect character. She doesn't start out as, you know, this high achieving, must be good at everything character. She is allowed to exist. And I really love that, and I really appreciate the fact that there wasn't this focus on her being exceptional. She was surviving and existing, and for the novel, that was enough. I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend it. I am so excited for when it releases. It comes out on August 4th. I have already pre-ordered it. I am so excited for my final copy to arrive so I can go back through and annotate it, and I'm really looking forward to having this book in my collection. I think everyone should read it. It's so timely, it's so important, it's profound, but also not on a high horse, and I just absolutely loved it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you give it a huge thumbs up. Comment down below, have you heard anything about the Black Kids? Do you plan on reading it, purchasing it, borrowing from your library, listening to it as an audiobook? Make sure you are subscribed and that you have hit the notification bell so you're notified every time I upload a new video. Check out all of my social media, which will be in the description box below, as well as my blog, which has a written and full review of The Black Kids, and my Goodreads account, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
I ain't living for the moment. I see what's mine and I want it. Hungry like a Pac-Man. I'm Bruce Wayne and Batman. I'm Naruto with a Hanzo. Got a sharp mind like I'm Einstein. Plus I'm copywriting, so it's all mine. Check it for me, I'm in the sky.